You ready? Thank you for coming today. I just wanted to reach out and thank so many people. We really appreciate the outpouring of support from our community, whether in or outside of St. Croix County, for the loss of Kaitie Leising. She was a wonderful deputy. Her smile says it all. You can see in that photo. She was, I don't think anybody told her to smile for that photo. That was Kaitie, and that's how she did her job. We are going to miss her. You know, on Saturday night when I got the call, it was the worst call any law enforcement professional or a family member wants to get, and that's officer down. Since that time, it has been a whirlwind of emotions, a struggle trying to get through, trying to keep everyone together. Our office, our deputies, our law enforcement community is hurting again in this region. And as I said, when I got that call Saturday, Kaitie was out there doing the job that officers do every day. She gets a call to a possible drunk driver in a ditch, and she goes out there, two reasons: to assist if needed, and to ensure that somebody getting on the roadway is safe to do so. And as she makes contact with the driver for the next 8 minutes, they have a dialogue. Seemingly a traffic stop that will go as, or a traffic assist, motorist assist that will go as many do. And then, for reasons that we'll probably never know, this morally bankrupt and ethically challenged criminal decides to turn and murder Kaitie. That stunned us, our community, and our law enforcement profession. And as I said, for the next however many days now, we've been reeling, but our support from the community has been great. Our support from our law enforcement community has been amazing. My surrounding sheriffs, all the chiefs within the community, in the county, across the river, Washington County. When we went to pick up Kaitie in Ramsey County, St. Paul, what a fabulous city you guys have. A lot of good honorable men and women. Minnesota State Patrol that got us back. And as I saw all those people on the highways and on the bridges honoring us and honoring Kaitie, my heart, I was humbled, but I knew our profession is strong and it's going to remain strong. No matter what entities, whether it's certain, and I'm going to use the word certain media outlets, and I will use the word certain politicians, because not all. There's a lot of good media people and we need a free press. There's also a lot of good politicians, and a lot of them have reached out to me. But for those that continue to beat us down, sometimes this is the end result, and it makes our communities that much more unsafe. And we are tired. My whole profession is tired. We have to do better. And part of that is honoring Kaitie. And the loss that she gave her entire life to this profession. I feel so sad for her family. Her wife is at home. She's got a 3-month-old baby. And they'll never get to see Kaitie again. So I am mixed with emotions. Sad, I'm angry. But our profession will get through this. To the men and women of my office, I extend my heartfelt thanks for everything they've done to step up, to lean on each other. The trauma is great. Other agencies have gone through it, and I never thought that would be here. But it came to our doorstep on Saturday night. We are devastated by this. And again, my heartfelt condolences to Kaitie's family. Kaitie's been with us for only a year, but the impact she made, not only on our office, but on this community. And it was always how she did her job, was treating people well. That's how she showed up at calls. And she treated people with dignity and respect. She made my job easy. So we thank her for that sacrifice, but how she did her job every day. What a wonderful young lady that was stolen by some criminal, and that's how I'm going to refer to him. I'd refer more, but I don't know if anybody's got your dump buttons on your camera, because I am angry. And I'm angry at the position that we've been pushed into. And I want you to know that. But I also want you to know that I appreciate the support. I appreciate the kind words from so many, and so many of you guys. So we've set up also a donation area for Kaitie and to help her out. And I should say, I know I mentioned she was here a year. She was also at the Pennington County, South Dakota Sheriff's Office for 2 years. And I can't forget them either. Our thoughts go out to them. I spoke with Sheriff Mueller out there, and they are as devastated as us. So, you know, we are, as a law enforcement community, really, we're reeling. And like I said, our area is tired from the murders of Emily Breidenbach, Hunter Shealy, up in Barron, and Josh Olin in Pope County. Our community we are hit hard. So, as I was beginning to say, we want to, and so many people want to give. So we've set up for donations to go to any Wisconsin credit union. Donations can go directly to any of those places. Checks, and those checks made out the benefit of Deputy Leising, and that's Leising. And we'll take them there at the sheriff's office as well, and we'll make sure we get those to Courtney and her family. So, Sheriff?
Thank you. I have the funeral arrangements that we've just got in place today. Also, in lieu of flowers at the funeral, the family would like donations made out to the National Law Enforcement Memorial. So in lieu of flowers, please donate to the National Law Enforcement Memorial instead of flowers at the family's request. The funeral will take place on Friday, this Friday. Public visitation will be at the Hudson High School, starting at 9 a.m. until 12 p.m. Funeral with law enforcement honors will be directly following the service in the parking lot. A law enforcement procession will take place, and that route and details will come out later this week. We want to thank the Hudson High School for their help with this funeral, because without them, we can't grant all the requests of the family. So the family, Scott and his team, really thank the Hudson High School for all the work they've done in a very short period of time to help us do with that. So the funeral will take place on Friday, again 9 a.m. till noon. That will be public visitation, and the funeral with law enforcement honors will be directly after the 12 o'clock visitation. So finally, we want to again reach out and say, please respect the family, the privacy of the family. The media has reached out to them. We ask that you stop that immediately. And also we ask for the privacy for Sheriff Knutson and his deputies. Now, Sheriff Knutson will take some brief questions, not about the case. DCI is still handling the case. That case will be turned over to the St. Croix County District Attorney's Office when it's completed.
Sheriff, can you tell us a little more about Deputy Leising? What drew her here? Was she from this area? I know you mentioned she was in South Dakota for a couple of years earlier.
Yeah, she was originally from Wisconsin and then had gone out, got a job out there. And her wife is in the National Park Service. So that kind of brought them back here. So Kaitie came back as well and worked in the civilian group for a while and tried to get back in, and we were so glad to take her back.
And did she leave behind children? The wife is
And a 3-month-old boy.
3-month-old.
Yeah.
Sheriff, you mentioned that the Sheriff's Office is working through this. Can you kind of describe what that looks like? Is it conversations, counselors, or how are you and your deputies going to do this?
All of that, conversations, debriefings, and this impacts not just the law enforcement family, the dispatchers, that took those calls, the people that heard it on the radio, the EMTs and the fire departments that have shown up, reached out, ran into a traumatic situation with an armed assailant still on the run, trying to get Deputy Leising out of there. This has affected a lot of people. So my thanks go out to all of them as well. We partner very well with those within our community, all of our law enforcement and EMS and emergency services. We just work very well together, and this has touched every one of us. Debriefings, counselings, it's not such a stigma anymore. We have to have those conversations because that brings people together and leaning on each other. Suffering in silence, we have to get away from that. So.
Sheriff, Jonah Kaplan from WCCO, we appreciate your candor and we hope that the deputy's memory is for a blessing. There's a practical matter, as you mentioned, about keeping to do your jobs. Are you having to call other departments, for people to step in to make sure people are not, are people still in a position well enough physically, emotionally, and are you getting support from others? You're having to get others to maybe cover some shifts or things like that?
I've gotten so much support from my fellow sheriffs, from Hudson, River Falls, New Richmond, and every town and village within the county. Right now, my guys aren't working on the street. Shifts have been covered for days. People want to help. Other agencies have come in. And again, I cannot thank them enough. We could not do this. What was done 20, 30 years ago when it was buck up and get back out there, that doesn't work. We need time to process and grieve. But it's also important to make sure that we are good to get back out there, because our citizens deserve that as well.
You talked about also how just law enforcement, the whole community has just been beat up. This is now tragically the 4th officer to be killed this year in Wisconsin. This deputy, blessed memory, the 2 just a while from here, and then 1 in Milwaukee earlier this year. These were all young officers too. We've already had issues with recruiting. What does it look like moving forward in terms of boosting morale and trying to recruit the next generation of people who can protect us?
There are a number of things. And you're right. We've lost. Wisconsin right now has the highest law enforcement officers killed in the last 20 years. We're in May. What does our future hold? But it has absolutely been the almost the lifting up and making it okay to go against law enforcement. We are imperfect humans given imperfect situations with the expectation of perfect outcomes. And there are very few perfect outcomes. And when we make mistakes, like every one of us does, but our mistakes, there's so many split-second mistakes. Processing and dealing with the things that we deal with. We just ask, let's get the information out there properly. That's kind of one of the big struggles that I have right now. I mean, there's anger and everything else, but it's really giving us as well of a fair shot of getting that information out. Facts. It doesn't always have to be first when the news goes out, but by goodness, can we just get the facts out there? And sometimes that 2-second video clip doesn't tell the whole story. And so oftentimes we are on the receiving end of a narrative that at the end of these investigations wasn't anywhere near the initial. So how do we get more people in it? I don't know, but we are having a very difficult time. In western Wisconsin, with 3 officers killed, trying to recruit and retain. I hope to retain all my staff. The reality is, we may not. Families are tired as well. They don't want their family members in this anymore. You know, we need good cops, but we're killing the good cops. And it's frustrating.
Sheriff, I know it's still early on, the investigation is still underway. Is this going to change anything with training or the way you approach even regular traffic stops, which, you know, as we've all heard, are one of the most potentially dangerous things any officer can deal with?
They're unpredictable. You know, in this certain instance, she's out talking to this guy for 8 minutes. So it wasn't necessarily a traffic stop. They're face-to-face talking, and he spins and shoots. You know, we train and we train and we train. We always try to adapt. Our training today is so much different than it was 5, 10, 15 years ago. We will evolve again. We will learn from some of these things. But sometimes the cards we're dealt, they aren't good cards, and we just have to react. But we will reassess everything that took place. We will learn from this. We will learn from the Barron County incidences. We will learn from the Pope County. We will try to do more, try to do better.
Sheriff, you mentioned you're talking about Deputy Leising. I was just wondering if you tell us a little bit more about her. You said her smile just says it all. What would you say to someone who's never met her before about her personality, her interests? Did she have maybe hobbies or something?
She was an outdoors person.
Yeah.
She loved the outdoors. She loved animals, but that was her kind heart. She was such a giving person. You know, and it was always, you know, everybody says, well, if you have a bad day, talk to Kaitie, because your bad day is done. You can't stay salty when you talk to Kaitie. And that was the absolute truth. She just had that spirit. And a spirit that was stolen from her.
And just a kind of a background question, Sheriff. How big is your department? How many deputies do you have?
With the jail, courts, investigations, we have 88 sworn. We also have the dispatch center and emergency management under us, so there's about 120 under the umbrella of the sheriff.
Pretty tight-knit group, I imagine.
It's a very tight-knit group, and again, the tight-knit group also extends out to our municipal and city partners. It's a wonderful community, and I'm very proud to be a part of that, and I'm proud to be part of this profession.
And you mentioned that you've been talking this out. Does that include counselors being brought in, brief counselors?
Yes, we've had debriefings. You know, again, debriefing something that was never really in the mix 25, 30 years ago when I started. It is now, and thank goodness it is.
Sheriff, has your office, do you know the last time there was a loss like this, where an officer was down in St. Croix County?
In the 50s, Lee Murphy, and some of you have covered that as we've got Lee Murphy's name on the wall in 2019. He was shot here in Hudson along with Clarence Erickson. Clarence died right away, and Lee Murphy died over a year later, so it was never listed as a line of duty death. We worked very hard to get that changed, and they did finally accept that it was a line of duty death. So it was in the 50s. And prior to that was 1901 with our sheriff, Harry Harris, that was killed trying to, I believe, arrest a bank robber on a train.
And again, we just go back to the practicality. I mean, 120 people, there's still a job to do. So what do you tell your officers? What do you tell your colleagues who then have to go back and do a traffic stop? To go to these things where there's naturally a trauma, a stress, but knowing that there's a mission still to protect the community.
Well, you know, there is a mission, and just like that night, you know, here this guy shoots Kaitie, and the law enforcement nature kicks in, and our guys go after him. The heroic actions that night, you know, chasing a guy that just shot your partner and chasing him up, looking for him, trying to A, get the guy that just killed her, but B, to make sure he doesn't shoot anybody else. And that takes very special people. And we have a lot of special people that will get back in this. There are those long talks. There may be some retraining to just walk through things. You know, there will be a component of where this took place that will trigger trauma and memories that will probably be difficult for our deputies to even drive by. So there's a lot that will be going on. But he said, I am proud to be part of this profession. I'm proud of the men and women that have allowed me to work with them, and we will return. And we will serve the citizens as we always have. And we are part of that community. We need that support from the citizens. They need us. They know that they need us. We've seen what happens when they don't. We see what happens with crime that moves when law enforcement is pushed back into a corner. But citizens are now saying we want our cops. And conversely, we need good people. We need that support. We're getting it now. I am so pleased and proud of our community as well.
Sheriff Knudsen, Renee Cooper with KSTP. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us and tell us about Deputy Leising. I know respectfully you can't talk about the investigation at all, but we have the suspect's name and age. Are you able to confirm the birth date to be January 14th or January 24th, 1989?
I'm not sure, nor do I want to give any time to him. He doesn't deserve my time.
Sheriff, we could have actually on outreach and traffic stops.
You know, we work 12-hour shifts, so anywhere from 5, 6, 7 at a time.
And total, just overall, how many?
Overall, for patrol, we have 30 on patrol.
And they've been covered by partner agencies?
Absolutely. It has been absolutely humbling how many agencies have stepped up.
Have they also stepped up in terms of the dispatchers and some of the other, you mentioned about the wide variety of roles?
Those are some of the more challenging areas, you know, just because of the uniqueness of the equipment and the systems. But we've tried. Same with the jail. You know, the jail is another area too that you still have to have some folks in there with familiarity of all that working, with the doors and everything else.
Do you have any idea how long that will last?
Probably through this week. We hope to try to find that new normal. We'll never get back to normal, but what is the new normal? We hope to try to do that this weekend,
And I assume
but we will play it by ear.
those are all other Wisconsin agencies that are
Yes.
helping out. It would have to be.
Yeah, yeah. You know, and there's resources that we can tap into just across the border as well. I see Sheriff Starry's here as well, but we have such a wonderful partnership with them. You know, if we need any canines to come over or any other resources, he's always available. So, but yeah, definitely all Wisconsin for our patrol stuff.
Do you say, was it just officers from like St. Croix or the local cities, municipalities that came, or were there any responders from across the border that day to help with the search?
You know, and actually I'm glad you brought that up because Wisconsin State Patrol was some of the first on scene. And our thanks go out to them as well. Dunn County popped over. And while this piece of work was on the run, We had ERU teams, our SWAT teams, alerted and en route from Barron County, Dunn County, Pierce County, resources coming from Washington County, all to make sure that this guy did no more damage to anyone else. But lots of partners, and some of the first officers there were municipal officers, Woodville, Baldwin. So there was a lot of people there. You can't drive fast enough 30 miles across the state in a rain, or across the county in a rainstorm when one of your partners just gets shot. You just can't get there fast enough.
Sheriff, where was Deputy Leising from originally?
Somewhere,
Nebraska, right?
I believe she was originally in somewhere in Wisconsin. I don't know that for sure.
Sheriff, you mentioned that night, but now more than ever for community support of the across the state of Wisconsin. For those concerned citizens that want to show their support, what are some ways you would recommend that?
It's just, we see it. I think there's some in Richmond putting up blue flags, the blue ribbons. This has been wonderful. We've been grabbing things off of here. This isn't just all that showed up. More has shown up. Coming back from Ramsey County on Sunday, bringing Kaitie home into Wisconsin with the overpasses lined, with showing that support. It was a hero's return home for her, and that was well deserved. But those things help. Those help us. Those help her family to know that there is a strong community, and that her passion and her love was not in vain, and that she was respected and loved.
Sheriff Mueller over in South Dakota mentioned that there's going to be some staff coming to attend the funeral. Is that surprising to you at all?
Not at all. I anticipate seeing people from across the country, but she was loved there as well, and I know that community is hurting also. He has told me that, and so that he's sending people is of no surprise, and we will show our appreciation and respect to that agency as well by involving them somewhere in this service. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for coming.
Sheriff.
Yes, 9 to 12. Yeah, public.